Hello, welcome to Atheist Open Mic. Unfortunately, tonight, as usually with every other Atheist Open Mic, no atheist messaged me on email via email, Sacerdotus Hangouts at gmail.com to participate and obviously there's different reasons for this. This really silly, but I have stated ideas that you normally see online on Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, and whatnot. These so-called atheists, in my opinion, atheists. They're just people who use the label of atheism in order to display their or whatever outlet onto the social media world to become a different person and whatnot for whatever, for stress relieving purposes or who knows. But I really don't expect atheists to really participate in these kinds of broadcasts because, yes, with the exception of one guy that did participate, and I haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully, he shows up with Mike again, and we'll have a discussion, and other people would join as well because this is open to everybody, whether you believe in God, not believe in God, or whether you're not sure there is a God or not. Anybody out there, if you're thinking in your life, you're welcome to participate in this atheist. And again, this whole atheist is not a debate. Everybody's chatting, everybody's sharing shares on a Jerry Springer show. It's just an outlet where we discuss. Questions can be asked or whatnot. Naturally, as a former atheist, I'm sure I have attracted the attention of a lot of so-called atheists. And obviously, they're welcome to ask me any question they want, and or a blog post that I haven't written or just released. Atheism is stupid, and it's children's version atheism. I'm going to speak to you about in a bit. Any atheists out there listening, this ready to come on Atheist Open Mic. I'm not gonna eat you alive. I'm not gonna yell at you or not. I just want to hear what you have to say and just ask questions the best I can. Shouldn't be any need to be apprehensive this broadcast. Again, this is for you. I'm giving you the floor so you will talk to someone or not, or talk to anybody else who may happen to be on. Doesn't necessarily have to be me. That's pretty much it. So there's no need to be apprehensive about it. And I know many people complain, especially on Google Plus. Lately, but for the last couple of months, I've been disabling comments on the in communities. And the reason why I do this is because when I left them open, the people commenting were not reading what I was posting. Random comments that really have whatever it is that I started and distracting. They follow the discussion. I couldn't really answer anybody because it was just a whole bunch of gibberish, a whole bunch of nonsense. The personal attacks mixed in, and nothing regarding what I actually to disable the comments and just whoever wants to read what I posted. If they do not want to read it, then fine. If they want to report it as spam, whatever. I mean, obviously, Google's not stupid. The people that work there are not stupid, and what it's not. For now on, I'm just any sense to just have all these different comments being posted there. I do not have time to be reading all of that. 100 plus comments and irrelevant to do with the topic, and then a couple of insults mixed in it. There's the time for that. I surely do not have the time for that. Again, I do not disable the comments because I'm so again, I have this right now, Atheist Open Mic, so you could come on and talk to me. I'm not afraid of you. I mean, I'm inviting you to the cyber world, so to speak, my cyber house. You could questions, comment, whatnot. So, the whole situation, why I disabled comments, doing this pretty much while undisable who sends you tweets and whatnot, which I think they should allow that feature. Who will participate in more control to the. But for the most part, I've been muting certain accounts. Certain I really do not read notifications because again, time and there's not really much substance to the tweets that I get. So wasting time with that on my time. It on Twitter or whatever, and I did not reply to it because I didn't. And it's not a reflection on you. It's just that there's just no time, and from experience, I really did not find anything of use to respond to on different social outlets that I'm on. And since there's nobody on now, no atheists to join me live or ask, and unfortunately, no other Protestant, whatever, Jewish, Muslim, did not contact me to participate. Going to be another um, monologue, I guess. I don't know what other word to use. Here to just give a brief introduction to my books. I'm going to try to bring so that what I'm talking about, you get. I'm sure you've probably already seen the book. There's more to this so much. Just in case you have an account and just happen to stumble onto this broadcast, show them the book and give a little introduction on both. Those interested can go and purchase it. Give me one moment. Okay, I'm just trying to get the screen to work. It's always my luck that Microsoft or Windows, whatever, updates when you're doing something important. And I'm sure you probably have noticed a research project or something, and then your computer starts slowing down in the background. You're wondering what's going on, and then you see that little symbol on the bottom that Microsoft is sending updates and whatnot. So hopefully I don't get cut off. This thing likes to restart by itself. But I'm going to put work the screen that I'm looking at right now. Just okay. Sure if it's showing up over here. I think it's showing it to you, but right here, these are the two books that I've written. The one is Atheism is Silly. Complain about the title of Atheism is Stupid. For some reason, some atheists think that I'm insulting them. Atheists stupid, and I'm not. Atheism is, I don't know how else I can explain this. A person. It's a concept, it's an ideology. It's not a person. It's a person. The title of the book is Atheism is Stupid, not Atheists are Stupid. I want to make that clear. I mean, you see the word stupid, it automatically up something in you. But the book is not meant to attack atheists. It's not meant to attack the people who call themselves atheists. The book is a critique, a criticism of atheism from the point of view of a former atheist, yours truly. It's pretty much me telling my story. An atheist. The next moment, I started questioning the atheist, all the ideas that I held in my mind and what about atheism. And I go explaining why I felt that atheism wasn't me anymore. And certain chapters, and within those chapters, I divide that into subparts where I go and dissect atheism. I present the idea, the concept of something within atheism, and then I dissect it. So I present how it is, how atheists understand it, the arguments for it, find the argument attractive, and then I go and attack it. I dissect it, I attack it, and I don't attack it just with my own ideas or opinions, but I also use the opinions of and other experts in different fields. And then what I'm talking about. If it's philosophy, I use philosophers. If it's science, I use different branches of science, different sciences. If it's religion, I quote from different religious thinkers, so forth. History, different historians. That's pretty much what the book does. It's not chapter one, atheists are stupid. Chapter two, atheists are morons. No, it's nothing of that. So there's no need for out there and you saw the book and you got offended or whatnot. It's not an attack on atheists, the people, a critique, a criticism. So as a concept and the many forms it the world and into the thinking person, namely in the academic sense. So that I got is that I'll go to that complaint. I want to make it clear that I actually do dedicate the book to atheists out there. So you see that I actually dedicate it to atheists and of course deists of all different religions and so forth. So it's not an attack on all. The thing that I've been getting about the book is that for some reason some people find it too complicated. Now this is something that I struggle with because I have to simplify. Not everybody could read, everybody could think at the same level, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're all different, so nobody should be ashamed. There's certain things that I read, and I had to read it again because I didn't get it the first time, especially if it's chemistry, which I'm not that good at. But well, that I studied like psychology, physics, biology, things that I studied, then it's easier for me to understand and whatnot. And even with that, sometimes I had to reread it and look at it again when I didn't get it the first time. Some people have complained that the book was a bit too complicated, too academic or whatnot. And I don't know how to address that because, again, I try very hard to make the ideas and arguments easy for people to grasp. Some chapters, some parts in the book that you may have to look over or whatnot, especially the parts where I use mathematics and things like that. I'm familiar with mathematics. Obviously, it's not arithmetic; it's different calculus and things like that. If you're not strong in that field, you may have a little problem with it. But you get the gist of the idea in the paragraph when I'm explaining the mathematics and so forth and showing formulas and things like that. Also, the science part, you should have a little bit of grasp of. So I really do not see why some people are having trouble with it. I speak a lot about evolution in the book, a lot about the Big Bang theory, cosmic, the Big Splat theory. A lot of people never heard of that book. Different ideas there, but I try my best to simplify it to get what is different terms and terminology and whatnot. Book Atheism is Stupid. Now, read the book or almost finished. they liked it so much that they asked me for a children's version, and that caught me a big. I'm not really really didn't think of that. Some children grow up and they may grow up in religion. They go to college because they get from professors out there. But I was focusing more on an adult audience. So when these people were children's version, I was thinking, how the heck am I gonna do that to try to make the first book simple enough for people to understand? How can I do that with children? Children don't have the capacity to understand. See things differently and they perceive things differently and whatnot. So I gave it a shot. I themes of the big book, Atheism is Stupid, and like summarized it and made it simpler so that a child could understand it. So that's where atheism is silly came about. To be less in your face as the word stupid. Didn't want it to be too offensive that parents didn't want to read the book or get a book for the kids. But atheism is it's a word that a lot of children love to use to describe things that are nonsensical or not. The book I use images, this cartoonish images, not just words. I know the introduction says 64 pages, and you're probably wondering what children has 64 pages. Now, before you freak out, the reason why it says 64 pages is because I use larger fonts. And what happens when you use larger fonts? They take up pages. If you take the book and you take the fonts and you shrink them down to 10 or 12 or whatnot font, it's really like 4 or 5 pages, the book. But since I use bigger fonts, then it came out to all these pages. Plus, the images themselves, the graphics, took some pages. There's a couple of images out in the book that are by themselves on a page. So obviously, the computer, when I upload them into CreateSpace, it counts those as pages. Don't freak out when you see 64 pages and you think, oh, this is a textbook for a kid. It's impossible. It's not at all. It's just that it's huge letters. Um, get bored or freak out when they see these tiny paragraphs or these words packed into it. They see nice big words in the sense of the font size, and in the book, I don't get too much into adultish in a sense. Like in the big book, I speak about the problem of evil and I go into details of horrific things that atheists like to blame on God. I don't do that in this book. I do mention the problem of evil, but I don't go too much into it because adults, psychology is not ready to process all of that. I speak about the problem of evil and I do speak about science and whether or not science disproves God and whatnot. And I do in the book a lot of science. In fact, a lot of the book is science. Those of you who get the book, you see that. I speak a lot about the universe, about stars and space and all that because I love that stuff. Went to the planetarium in New York City. I fell in love. It was like love at first sight. First, um, it just came alive to me. My love for science, it was always there, but it triggered it more in a sense of focusing more on astronomy, which is what I studied. That's pretty much the difference between both books, and they are available at Amazon, Barnes& Nobles, CreateSpace. Actually, the big book is there is a discount, and find the coupon is somewhere on my Twitter account, and the big book is priced at $18.99. And again, some people may say, "Oh, that's too much money, why not?" But a lot of work that I put into it. There's a lot of research. It's not just that I sat down and wrote the book like a blog. A blog is more freelance, and it's not really that much style went up. This is more academic style. I cite a lot. 30 pages comprises references. Those 30 pages, you'll find hundreds of scientific journals that I cited from, books that I cited from, encyclopedias, you name it. I use all there so that you know where I got the information from, and hopefully research and continue studying on whatever caught your mind on in the book. 1899, create space. Unfortunately, Amazon and Barcelona Rule doesn't give me much control of it. Prices when they want to, so I really cannot control that. But at least in the create space, I'm able to give discounts to people and codes that you could use to order the book. Tomorrow, it's already Saturday, it's midnight. To tomorrow, Sunday, Trinity Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. You could use this code, and it's GSL6G8, and again that's 3UL6G8. Base.com. You look up in the store. You look up. This is stupid. It will show up. And then on the bottom it says you have a coupon. You enter that code, and it will take off $6 from your. So the book will come out to $12.99 instead of the $18.99. Phone will work until Sunday tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you could get the book. I noticed that it worked a lot because a lot of people ordered the book as soon as I put the coupon. I mean, they say they love it and whatnot. So, book, you could get it now. You could get it for cheaper, and of course, post a review. I want to hear what you think because the next book is coming out soon. The volume soon to touch on even more issues. Some different things. So the first book, what's in the end of it? There's going to be more volumes where I'm going to dissect more just of atheism. Now, since unfortunately no A2 messaged me that they wanted to participate, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just find some things on some memes or whatever that I've seen that post and quick, then you will be able to see what I'm seeing on the screen. So it will be much easier so you know what I'm actually talking about. I think I took off the book, so I'm going to try again to put atheist, and this is a community on Google Plus. Obviously, the founder of the community intended this community to be can discuss religion where people can discuss religion where not. Unfortunately, it seems to have been taken off by trolls. So what they do now is that they post nonsense not, and Protestant Christians there who try to debate with them, and it just gets really ugly. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It gets really ugly. And that's why I said in the beginning that I don't even bother to get comments anymore. I just disable it because these trolls just go and disrupt everything and nice discussion on religion or God or science or whatever because of these trolls. They just come out of nowhere and just attack you, assault you. It's really nobody really has the time for that. I mean, I applaud my Protestant friends for giving it a shot and wasting their time with these people, but we're not wasting my time. People they are really not there to engage anyone. They're just there to harass and troll people and whatnot. So as you can see here, numerous times contests that I made. God does not exist contest, and pretty much is that I'm asking atheists out there to prove their position. If they believe that God does not exist and they want to make their case to theists around the world that God does not exist, evidence. Them for a 12-page study or whatnot, presenting the evidence, organizing controvertible proof, showing that God does not exist. And to date, even dare to take the challenge. Funny because they're quick to say that God's not to admit that God doesn't exist, but such a simple. So, I mean, it makes you think a lot about atheism. Does it really have any footing? Does it really have a platform to stand on? Not. If the God does not exist and God is not real, add it up. I mean, there. You tell somebody who believes in God to prove whether there is a God or not, that person is going to give you all kinds of arguments from personal experience. They may cite from something in his life. They may cite Bible. They may cite just different ways that different Christians and Jewish people defend God, present cases for God. Whether the atheist buys into these arguments or not, that's on the atheist. But accept somebody else's argument doesn't invalidate the problem accepting it. You, it's not on the person making the argument. So, especially when you cannot refute the person, somebody can come to me and make an argument about should be president. Tell them, no, I don't think Donald Trump should be president. Me saying that doesn't invalidate the other person's argument. Invalidate the other person's argument and equal to or greater than it counters the opinion or the case of the person telling me that Donald Trump should be president. I don't do that, then obviously opinion, my comment really doesn't have that much weight to it. Saying Donald Trump should not be president. Why? I'm not presenting any evidence, any argumentation. Atheism, the atheist, God is not real, God does not exist. To tell you why, to explain why God does not exist, to show the evidence, and they cannot do it, then the atheist really has a problem there. So my book Atheism is Stupid really gets into it, shows the different so-called arguments that atheists make, and really shows them why they don't make sense at all. Unfortunately, I don't really have time to go into the whole book. I think I did before in a previous broadcast, through each chapter, explaining the book, introduction words, and at the time you could go and check that out and whatnot. So again, this is a cut up. No atheist has even dared to try it, and I even sent this to. I sent it to Lawrence Cross or not. Physicists out there that is. I sent it to them and they haven't responded to it. Whether they saw it and cannot respond to it, I really cannot say. But this sent it to them, and I have not heard from them. And yeah, these guys go around and they with a certain to that God. To me, that really doesn't work. Why not? Speaking of one of the atheist scientists, he is the image of Richard Dawkins, who was a biologist and a zoologist, animals and things like that. This is a quote that he allegedly said. I have to fact checked it because let me tell you something about atheists. Whenever they post these memes up there, these images, and then there's a quote next to it, these quotes were not actually said by the person. Like there's quotes out there that has a picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson on it or Carl Sagan and whatnot. There's a quote. When you actually look up the quote, they never said that or they never wrote that. Atheists try to pin the quote on the these scientists, and they never said that. So you got to be very careful whenever you read memes up there with quotes. The rule of thumb is that if it doesn't have a source, leave it. So if on the bottom or in the corner it doesn't cite a paper or a book that the alleged quoter said the quote found the quote in, then I wouldn't accept it. I would just believe that it's fake or not. If there's a source or you see a book where it comes from, then you can actually go to the library and look up the book, the page, and you see the quote there, or magazine or article, whatever it is, it's traceable to a source. If it doesn't have that, then I wouldn't accept it, and neither should you. Obviously, it's just an atheist trying to pass off a quote using the image of a scientist in order to quote and whatnot, but just never said that. So be very careful. So I'm assuming that it is just for the time now. I really don't have the time to look up the quote, which this was posted by somebody named Angela Martin, and it's always messaging me and whatnot, always stalking me and whatnot. And I have questioned her many times, and she refuses to answer the questions. And she questions me, and I have responded to her, especially where arguments regarding the Exodus and things like that. And you could actually see it. You could look it up on Google Plus. My exchanges with her, and she gets annoyed, and then she starts calling me a troll, whatnot, and these are the people that you see online. That's why I said in the beginning that I really do not believe that these so-called atheists online are really atheists, because they really don't present themselves as such. Atheists that I'm aware of, one of them in the past, academic type of atheist. According to this meme, Dawkins says, "No, faith is not who you are. Don't insult yourself. You are a human being within the power of reason." Now, again, this obviously attacking faith, claiming that the faith is not who we are, that in reality we're just a brain with power to reason. Now, yeah, that's true. We are a brain. We do have the power to reason, but we also have faith. We have the power of faith both as well. And not only do we have faith, but we have the faith of accepting the things in this world. I'll explain to you that in different ways. Faith is believing in something that we haven't really truly understood, grasp. It's in God and whatnot. Now, I'm going to rely on the first idea, something that we really haven't processed with the five senses, so to speak. If you really think about life and what we call reality, coming from a physics background, to really say that reality is real, it's really difficult. Even scientists today, especially philosophers and they're having trouble today defining what reality is. And the reason why is because we know so much about how the universe is built, how particles, universe, how they work with each other. Difficult to really pin down what is reality. And as a matter of fact, since about or so, there's been a lot of discussion in the academic world, in the philosophical world, the scientific world, that what we call reality, universe, planet Earth, our lives, our bodies, computer simulation. There's actually ideas out there in academia that present this. Nick Bostrom, who's a well-known philosopher, one of the originators of this idea that that everything we've seen around us is not really real. It's a projection of sort. So he believes that the whole universe is almost like a Sims game, controlled or codes or algorithms like a computer game is, playing a video game, a programmer. This comes from the idea of the brain and the bot, that we're somehow a brain connected to wires on a computer inside a bot. And we're just dreaming up this whole thing we call reality. Now, when you think about all of that, and these are scientists talking about this is not something that I made up. You could look it up yourself. When you think about this, and a lot of these scientists, a lot of these philosophers that think this are atheists themselves. When you think about this, and you think about how the universe is made, you think about the particles and so forth, it sort of makes sense. I'm not saying that the universe is a program or not, because we really don't know. We don't know whether it is or whether it's not. But from the physics point of view, we're all made of atoms. Each and every one of us are made of atoms. Everything around us is made of atoms. And the reason why everything looks different, appears different, is because of the charges that the atoms have. So this microphone in front of me that I'm speaking to is metallic color and looks different. And my skin flesh is softer. Both things are made of the same thing, atoms. The reason why they are different, silver and so forth, and my skin is soft and it has blood and all these different things in it, and it's a different texture and whatnot, charges that the atoms took upon relation to the laws of physics and the universe itself. So keep that in mind. We are all made of the same stuff. Now, this is the interesting part. All of us, we are used to touching things. We touch money, we touch a toothbrush in the morning when you wake up, soap when you're about to take a bath, etc. We're so used to this whole idea of touch sensation. Well, you will be surprised with what I'm going to tell you right now. And again, this is a scientific fact. Touch anything. And I'm going to say that again. We actually don't touch anything. I'm quote unquote touching this microphone right now, this keyboard here in front of me, the mouse on my right. Touching my other hand, technically. But in reality, they're not. They're not touching. The reason why is because the atoms, by a field called the Coulomb repulsion, where electrons are spinning around the atom. These electrons spinning create this field around the atom, protecting it. And the reason why this is because if they touch each other, they will annihilate each other. What does that mean? It means that any atom around the universe right now, the universe, here on Earth or billions of miles away, if any atom, another atom, this whole universe will disappear within a millisecond. It will just explode, gone. Computer, while there's a game running, the game just shuts off. It's destroyed, unsaved, it's gone. Because of that one or two atoms that touch each other. God, that doesn't happen because of this Coulomb repulsion. Repulse each other, like when you put two magnets of different, and you feel that tension between them. Atoms have that repulsion against each other. So in light of that, hand pushing against the atoms on my left hand, pushing against, plus the charges between both atoms on both sides of my right hand and my left hand touch for the sake of the word touch. Perceive as touch. So pretty much when I grab the microphone, touch the microphone, my fingers are feeling the cold metal, feeling the hard metal of the microphone. That sensation that I'm feeling is not the actual object, because I can't touch the microphone itself. The atoms, I cannot touch them. What I'm perceiving, my nerves are perceiving, are motion around each atom, the microphone, and the charges of those electrons around the atom on the microphone is what's saying that is something hard, metallic, etc. Right? That's pretty much how the whole universe works. It's just a whole bunch of electrical charges communicating with each other. Interact. And the distance between one atom and another atom is 1 angstrom, which may be very, very tiny, but it's significant at that level. So what does this have to do with faith? Well, an atheist claims that people who have faith and whatnot are delusional. They're thinking about things that are not part of this universe and whatnot. In light of what I told you about atoms, the Coulomb repulsion, how does an atheist know that this universe actually exists? Touch it. We never really experience it. We don't experience it head on as it is. There's always a middleman, so to speak, and this middleman is the Coulomb repulsion. So, in reality, our eyes, our ears, our sense of touch, our nose, our tongue, everything we perceive, faith in reality, because we cannot touch the actual atoms and other things. Forbid we do, because we will destroy each other. We will destroy the universe. Have the Coulomb repulsion protecting atoms. So everything we know about this universe, we're taking it on faith. So that's why I never really understood why atheists like to claim that religious people are delusional, that they're out of their minds, that they're not part of reality and whatnot. What we know of how particles work, how atoms work, and the fact that we don't perceive anything really directly head on. Charges that happen between repulsion and Coulomb repulsion of two different or three objects. Our brain is then left to sort all that out. What is this? What is this not? And many times the brain gets it wrong. You could do this experiment now. You could do this experiment. Just take your finger, your index finger, any finger, touch your nose with it. Now, when you touch your nose, obviously your finger is feeling your nose, and your nose is feeling your finger, right? Well, what if I told you the brain is lying to you? You're probably wondering what he's talking about. Obviously, I feel both of them touching each other. How is the brain lying to me? Which one is closer to the brain, the nose or the hand, the finger? You say the nose, right? You will be correct. The nose is closest to the brain, just a few inches. So, as you may know, when you learned science about we're all made of all these different synapses, electrical charges, going throughout the nervous system, do what not to do, and so forth. Now, I'm going to ask you something. Signal will reach the brain faster. The tip of your nose to your brain, or from the tip of your finger to the brain. Insert the tip of the finger to the brain. The correct answer will be the nose to the brain, because it's closer. So the nose, the tip of the nose, any part of the nose receives the brain faster than a signal from the finger. The signal from the finger has to travel through the wrist, to the hand, to the wrist, to the forearm, the elbow, the biceps, triceps, the shoulder, all the way back to your spinal cord, then up to the spinal cord, the medulla, and so forth, into the brain. And then from there, it has to figure out what's going on. Signal, motion signal, meaning to move your hand, your arm, whatnot, or is it a signal of a touch sensation? Signal of touch and sensation, then that signal gets dissipated all throughout the brain to different parts. Different parts of the brain control different things. So one part of the signal is going to go to your memory to try to look through the files, so to speak, of what you're touching. It's a mouse, it's a mug or a pen. That memory of that in that part of the brain, the frontal lobe, may go to cerebellum, and then you start recalling previous memories. Hippocampus, which deals with emotional memories. When you touch something, sometimes you touch something and you get memories, you get flashbacks of something. It's because the signal went to the certain part of the brain that were emotional to you, nostalgia or something. Just that simple touch. Went from your finger to your brain, and it went to different parts of the brain, and then the brain is storing all that information up. Awesome. I mean, by itself, I think could prove the existence of God because it's so complex. And I believe in evolution. I'm not knocking evolution or not, but for an organ brain to exist, in my opinion, would have been much longer, more time to make errors and correct those errors. See this between evolution and the time it really takes for something so complex like the brain to come about. But that's another topic for a different broadcast. But back to the signal. So you see all the different things that happen from just touching something with your finger onto your brain. All those different things that go on in the brain. So obviously it takes longer than the signal from your nose to your brain. So what happens if it takes longer for the signal from your finger to go to your brain? Then how come when you touch your nose, you're feeling it at the same time? The finger's feeling the nose is feeling the finger at the same time. It's not a delay. Well, for this, for simplicity's sake, to you is lying to us. The brain evolved to compensate for that delay of signal by telling us that yes, you are touching your nose and your nose is touching your finger. But in reality, the signal from your finger to your brain hasn't gotten there yet. And also your brain, yes, because it's closer. But from your finger to your brain, the signal hasn't reached there. You get the sensation that both sensations of touch are occurring at the same time. The brain is compensating, it's lying to us. It's telling us, yes, you guys are touching each other. The nose is touching the nose, and the finger is touching the nose, is touching the finger. When in reality, the signals are delayed. So, in light of that, our senses, how can we trust? How can we trust our brains if our brains are making up lies, for lack of a better word? If our brains compensate for this delay, that something's actually happening in real time, simultaneously, when in reality it's not. So that's why I always found it odd that atheists love to say that Christians, Muslims, Jewish, whatever, anyone who believes in God, living in a fantasy world is by having faith and so forth, and that atheists are somehow the possessors of what is reality or the true possession of reality. False. The atheist, just like the theist, is as clueless about this universe. both are equally clueless. And both are equally your trust, what your brain is processing via the senses and so forth is actually what we call reality. And to this day, we really test whether what we call reality really is reality. Matter of fact, in 2014, physicists got together and they started doing an experiment to try to see if the universe is actually a program. And the way they're working about this is by looking at the particles, see what's beyond a particle. In other words, what they're trying to do is they're trying to see if we're made of pixels, if pixelate. Just like when you take an image, right? You have the Mona Lisa, right? A of the Mona Lisa on your computer. Nice when it's at the normal size, the normal scale. But then you start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You start noticing that the image starts to get pixelated. You start seeing all these different shaded squares. Of course, make up the image of the Mona Lisa on your computer. When you make it even bigger and bigger, it even gets more distorted. So think of it as that. That's what physicists are trying to do with. They're trying to look at it deep, deep, deep into it, as deep as they can, to see if it pixelates in a sense. If it does that, then that means that this universe is not really what we think it is. It's actually a computer program. This thing may sound scary to some people, but if for some reason they do prove that, then I think that's the end of atheism. If one of these physicists doing this experiment discovers that yes, the universe is a computer program or simulation, or really is, then that's the end of atheism, because that will prove that in the video game called life, it will prove that the universe is a program and it has a creator. And there's no way around it, because a program cannot create itself. It needs a creator, it needs a programmer. Macintosh, Apple OS, and computer programs up there. I'm not a computer technician. Science is obviously not my field, but you know what I'm talking about. All these different programs out there, these different operating systems, they did not create themselves. They did not develop themselves, and they needed a programmer or a group of programmers that came together. People that knew mathematics, that knew coding, and they developed these different types of software. These pieces of software did not develop on their own. If it's proven that one day that the universe is a program of sorts, really there is a programmer, and programmer God, because who is God? The creator, the maker of all things. So I think regarding whether or not the universe is a simulation of program, worry atheists around the world. If for some reason, if it's proven true, right now we're not sure. It's floating around. Just like the idea of multiverses, the idea that we exist among other universes. There might be a universe within our universe, universe, or micro universe. These ideas are fine and dandy. They're interesting. They science, but there's really not that much evidence to support it. Computers generate all kinds of different things, but that's just a computer. They need to see it in a natural world. Say, wait a minute, this hypothesis does have something to it. So until we find some worth regards to whether or not the universe is a program or not, atheists really need to worry, because if we do discover if a physicist out there discovers that the universe get this, it's not this huge thing with stars and galaxies out there. They're just actually just a simulation, a program, a hologram, like much Star Trek: The Next Generation. This thing called a holodeck, where of Shakespeare, Lieutenant Commander Data used to love going and play as Shakespeare and Robin Hood and all these different characters. Holodeck, this room in the Enterprise, projected these images that look realistic. It bent light to a certain extent that it solidified it and it made it look real. Walking through a village in medieval times or whatnot. This is something like that clearly, any shadow of a doubt, there is a programmer, a God. So again, this is something that you listening to me, if you're interested, will go into the library and look it up. I think Bostrom is that developed this idea. Um, you go to look at my site, I have the names of the physicists, which escape me right now. Research what they're trying to do to figure out what this universe is. If it's really the universe as we think it is, versus a program of sort of simulation or a hologram or something. Worth checking out. And again, it's unfortunate that these alleged atheists online going and joining me online. Because I would love to hear what they think about it. Um, Friends who are still atheists think about it because I talk with them, I argue with them, I fight with them. But other people out there that may think different. It would be interesting to hear their take on it, what they think about the idea of the universe being a program or simulation or whatnot, and leader and hours speaking on because it's very interesting. I find because this topic, philosophy and science together, and I love philosophy and I love science. Unfortunately, there's a lot of atheists out there who are atheism, or where they think that science is the only means that we need, which is not true. We need other fields to study in order to learn about the world. Science cannot do it alone. While science has taught us a lot and brought a lot of knowledge to our civilizations, is still limited. It cannot do everything. So, for example, in the realm of psychology, introspection, or how we perceive ourselves from within and the rest of the environment, to measure that. Science could detect endorphins and whatnot in the brain, different chemicals, adrenaline and whatnot. They could detect those things in the brain, tell what's going on behind those chemicals. The going through within, the feeling, the sensation within, the introspection. There's no way science could detect that. No way anybody could. So science is limited in that fashion. And that's where psychology comes in. It takes up the torch, so to speak, in order to study what introspection. And it does it to the best of its ability via therapy, where the person lays on a sofa and a therapist, social worker, clinical psychologist, psychiatrist starts person is saying to him or her. Taking that introspection and putting it in a lab and studying it cannot be done. Also, the idea of whether a soul exists, immaterial being that gives life to matter and makes a person, to study that, whether or not that exists or not. The realm of both theology, and philosophy. The concept of ontology, being. What does it mean to be? So, as much as I love, and I'm a nerd at heart, Science is limited. Study everything. It cannot produce evidence for everything. It can only work within the field of the senses, within the scientific method. Can move beyond that. If you move beyond that, it's not science. That's why it's interesting whenever atheists to present evidence for God, scientific evidence. And I think to myself, these people are crazy. They really do not understand what science is. I think science is the study of nature. God is supernatural. So how can you present experiment of sort if it's not the same realm? It's not possible. It's like trying to combine water with air. Coexist. It won't coexist. Put air into water, mix bubbles, because the molecules don't mix. They don't connect. They're not cohesive with each other. Air is not going to connect with the water. Bubble, the air trapped with the water. We would try to present God in a laboratory. Here's the evidence for God. It's not going to happen. The best we could do with science and God is the clues of God in the universe. What I mean by that is that, well, nobody can present God sitting in the throne. Nobody can do that. Now, look, this is God right here, and then you see somebody sitting on the throne. Do it. I mean, God may appear in that way and say, here, he could do it, but that's on him. I don't have no control of that. To do. Satan tried to tell, what did God say? You should not tempt the Lord. To do. You should tell God what to do. If he wants to manifest himself, by all means. If not, then that's his choice. Nobody can really do that. Say, here's God, and then there's somebody there standing, walking on water and whatnot, like in Bruce Almighty, where Morgan Freeman was playing God and whatnot. The best we could do is show the clues that there is an intelligence behind the universe, that there is that we cannot explain. A lot of atheists, and this is what I find interesting, is you could see the cognitive bias. And let me use there was a recent study that I read, well, not a study, but an article that I read of planet Mars. It came out the other day. I should be putting a blog post on it. It's in draft, as a matter of fact. In the article said that the scientists discovered that there was a tsunami on Mars that was over 4,000 feet, something like that. I don't remember the number. I think it was 400 feet. A tsunami 400 feet that took place. Now, somebody that really doesn't know how science works will say, how the hell do you know that? How the hell does the scientist know that a tsunami took place that was 400 feet high where there was no human beings around? With no photographs of it, nothing. How can you tell that? Well, this is how you tell it. Scientists, when they have studied planet Mars, just on the surface, they see the different changes in the atmosphere. And based on what they know how tsunamis work on Earth, they come to the conclusion that it seems that a tsunami took place in Mars. That's how science works. It takes different pieces of clues, comes to a conclusion. Now, whether that conclusion is right or not, scientists come up with a conclusion, and then one or two scientists come and say, no, you're wrong. This is how it is. That happened 2 years ago, where American scientists who were studying gravitational waves, and they said they discovered it. They said they saw waves between galaxies. We found it. We finally discovered gravitational waves, which is what Einstein all predicted existed in the universe. Gravitational waves. And all of a sudden, European scientists come out and say, "Wait a minute, Americans! What you detected, what you saw, were not gravitational waves. The distortion of meteors and other things, the light that's coming from the galaxies. So that distortion that you saw, waves, there were the distortion, the interference caused by comets and debris in space between us and those Americans were studying. And again, that's how science works. Nothing in science is really exact. So, what does this have to do with God? Well, let me show you the bias. You see already how scientists work in regards to Mars. The little story that I told you about the tsunami. They used the data that they get from Mars. They compare it to how they use a base form of knowledge, which is what they know from planet Earth. Because guess what? This is the only planet we've been to. So everything that we study in the universe, we're going to study it via what we see here on Earth. That's smart because conditions might be different somewhere else. Again, that's another topic. So with God, you could use nature to present the case for God. There's nothing wrong with that. It's so well designed that yes, there might be a God. Evolution does make sense. It still doesn't account for the details of the human eye, of how it works and so forth, and how it works in connection with the world around it and the brain. You could use evolution itself, all these different organisms around the world. Process makes sense. They change. That's not able to survive dies off, and the one that is able to survive lives on. But then when you look at it as a whole and you see how many trial and error need to survive, you start thinking about let's say a spider. Suppose the primitive, the first poisonous spider that appeared on Earth, that evolved and was biting other those organisms is obviously poison until they got bit. Since they didn't experience the poison, they obviously died because the body didn't know how to fight it. How long would it take for these spiders to keep biting organisms and infecting them for that venom? It will take a very long time and a lot of trial. There will have to be a lot of organisms out there in order for the organism to really adapt with the spider. So those are some of the holes in the theory of evolution. I mean, the solid for the most part. There are holes to it. I can tell you that right now. There are evolution. But again, hopefully those holes will get filled up. But I'm just making an example. Now with God, you could use different things to present the case for God, different things in nature. And I do that in the book, Atheist and Science. I use evolution itself. And then I mention some experiments that reinforce why evolution doesn't disprove God, and so forth. I used the solar system, the fact that the outer planets, especially planet Jupiter, protects planet Earth from comets and other because of the large magnetic that Jupiter has. And the fact that Earth is in the right place to allow for life. Earth is so far the only planet that has life. Thing is up. The universe itself, the universe itself, 14, 15 billion years old. It's a really short amount of time for everything that exists in it. If you really think of how subatomic particles work, how DNA works, and how it works in the spectrum of evolution and the Big Bang, you start to realize that 14 billion years for all randomly. The math is not there. There at all. As a matter of fact, an assistant to Stephen Hawking, the famous physicist, Dr. Rawson, he developed a mathematical formula that shows that this is the way it does with life on Earth. Impossible. The odds are impossible. To the 10 to the 10 to the 123rd power, which is a huge number. A number that is bigger than the universe itself. So the mathematical odds show Earth, the universe is formed the way it did. For me to be speaking to you right now and you to be there existing, listening to me, it just does not work in the timeline of 14 billion years. It's not possible. The universe has to be much older. We're missing something. Or there's a force out there that we call God that created everything. And this force is so smart that he figured out how to do it. We cannot figure out that capacity. We don't have that mind. So there's different ways that you could make the argument for God. Different ways, different astrophysics. I'm using mathematics, biology, evolution. Then if I could go into philosophy, then I could so many different ways for God. Now, when you ask an atheist, well, show me there is no God. Show me that God does not exist. You cannot do it. That's why Carl Sagan, the famous astrophysicist, cosmologist, astronomer, author of Cosmos, Carl Sagan, very smart guy, he never was an atheist. In the beginning, I was talking about my book, Atheism is Stupid, and I said that some atheists got offended because I used the word atheism is stupid, or not the phrase. In reality, you know who really said that? Said that atheism was stupid. He actually said that. Sagan, the Carl Sagan, the guy that a lot of atheists love to post memes of on Twitter and so forth. Carl Sagan actually said that atheism was stupid. Said that, and you could look it up. You'll find different sources, different articles. I didn't make it up. Actually, the one that said atheism is stupid way before I was born, before I existed. Carl Sagan said that atheism was stupid. And the reason why he said it was stupid is because atheism makes a claim that's not possible to prove. It's not possible at all. In order for you to say that God does not exist, that there's no God, you have to know everything there is to know about everything. You have mapped the entire universe. And let's say, for example, if other dimensions exist out there, if other multiverses exist out there, you have to know about those multiverses. Exists everything that does exist in order to say there is no God. We're trying to figure out how to go to Mars. We haven't even reached on the planet yet, in the sense of actually walking on it. Out there is claiming that God does not exist. You cannot say that. That's why Carl Sagan said that atheism was stupid. He, as a former atheist, said atheism wrote a book on it. Because atheism doesn't have a platform, it doesn't have substance to it. And there's no way you can make any argument to it. Carl Sagan himself said too that, and I'm paraphrasing, an atheist is somebody that doesn't believe in God, has seen no proof of that God does not exist. To know everything about the universe, be relegated to different times and places. You have to know about everything in order to say that God does not exist. This is Carl Sagan again saying this. That's why Carl Sagan fan of atheism, because atheism is not a scientific position. He did not totally dismiss God. Were the ideas of God by religion. It cares for people, God, Yahweh, cared for the Hebrews, the God, Jesus coming down, being born of virgin. He was not too comfortable with that God. He wanted to see evidence to his hand. He wanted to actually see, the Red Sea parting and all that, which is obviously impossible to do because this is something that happened thousands of years ago. But he did not rule out the whole. He believed that God does exist, but he's just a being that either or created the universe and just like a program. That's the type of God that Carl Sagan believed. Carl Sagan was not an atheist. So sorry for you atheists out there using those memes claiming that you're wrong. He was never an atheist. So the whole position of atheism, God does not exist, that God is not real, and so forth. It's just not. It's not scientific. It's speculative reasoning. The atheist who says this is just saying it just for the heck of saying it because there's no way he or she could prove that. No substance to it. And again, back to using clues of the universe of nature to show those atheists out there, and I told you before, Angela Martin, whatever, they show me God. She wants to see an actual being, God. And again, that's just ridiculous. Reasoning or logic. If we sought that type of extreme, then we would never study anything. We could never learn it. We thought that we knew. We would look at it. For example, Harriet Tubman. They want to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. Now, many of you Americans obviously know, or hopefully know, about Harriet on the Underground Railroad. She helped African American slaves escape and so forth. Now, someone come to you and say an African American historian or an American history scholar or whatnot. I ask him or her, so and so, prove to me that Harriet Tubman existed. Well, what's the first thing the professor's going to do? He's going to start quoting or telling me the story of Harriet Tubman about the professor or the doctor, the scholar. What if I tell him or her? It's not evidence. You're just telling me a story about the Underground Railroad. That's not evidence. That doesn't prove to me that Harriet Tubman existed. See her. Like I'm crazy, like I'm delusional. If I'm requested to present Harriet Tubman as a living being before me. The professor, the historian, the scholar, whoever it is, will look at me, will probably walk away from me like I'm a troll. I'm just trolling him or her. Because obviously you can't do that. You cannot. A historian cannot bring a historical figure to life before you prove he or she existed. You have to accept the study, the research that's there as factual, evident of the fact that this person existed. You want to make the case that Harriet Tubman did not exist, then guess what? You have to present equal to or greater than evidence to the contrary of what the historian is telling you. The historian is telling you the story of Harriet Tubman, that Harriet Tubman existed, that she had an report, and you claim that Harriet Tubman didn't exist. Well, you have to present to all in that knowledge of information that presents your case that exists. Then obviously you cannot make the claim that it exists. Nor can you see Harriet, see her living here. I don't see the Underground Railroad, therefore she doesn't exist. That's an appeal to ignorance fallacy, which is reasoning. It's not logical. So anybody that comes out there, in order for me to believe in God, I need to see actually a throne or God over the earth. That person is either crazy or delusional or doesn't know how to reason, because that's not how you reason. That's not how science works, scholarship works. You do not need to present a living being before somebody in order to that living being existed. Do that. And you could do that with any historical figure. I could pick George Washington, uh, John Paul II. I could pick Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, anybody, John Gotti. I do not need to present these beings, these as living beings right now, in order for you to believe that they existed. You will not be able to request such evidence from me or anybody else. Intellectually dishonest. So any atheist out there that goes around questioning, saying, "Oh, I don't believe in God until I see God before me," believe in God, you need to present God in front of me. This person obviously science work, doesn't know how reason works, clearly ignorant or just going on in their brain. What we can do is show the evidence that we have, whether it's historical documentation, witnesses, artifacts, together. Yes, Harriet Tubman existed. Yes, George Washington existed. Pol Pot, JFK, John Gotti, etc., existed because we had this documentation, facts, we had accounts, and that's these people. We do not have to resurrect these beings and present them before you in order for you to. That would be ridiculous. And again, that's why whenever we read these stories about, well, there was a tsunami millions of years ago on Mars. Well, again, the clues that they found on Mars, plus they pieced it together, illusion, a tsunami. When is it? Scientists don't need it happening in the past. A biologist doesn't have to present evolution in a videotape in the sense of man videotaping evolving in order for you to believe it. You the fossil to prove it. Our own genetic structure. We have the proof. Bodies, earlobes, those millions, little pieces that were left, our earlobes. Those are actually gills from our lives back in the water to come out to the ocean, out of the ocean to the shore, and ability to process oxygen. Are human beings, Homo sapiens, and we have these things called over of our ancestors. Interesting, right? So with God, the different clues of the universe, of nature, of evolution, and so forth, in order to make the case that God did it. We don't have to present God on a throne in order for somebody to believe in God. Of course, you could reject that. That's on you. You have your choice. You have free will. That's nonsense. If you believe it's nonsense, if you believe it's not true, you have to present equal to or contrary. If you can, then you cannot call somebody else's idea nonsense without reason. If you cannot provide reason for your own, that's how reason works. Going around denying people's claims. Person A says God exists, and then person B says no, he doesn't. Reason. No, he doesn't. Here's why. Bam. That's what reason is. Reason is not going around saying it doesn't exist. Myth. I back that up. That's not what reason is. That's an appeal to ignorance fallacy. So let's talk about law. I studied paralegal in high school. From what I remember of it, that was years ago. This a term which means that to convict a criminal using a body. In other words, killed, or is being accused of killing somebody else, to convict the defendant. He or she around the case. Any DNA left around had recorded something. An eyewitness to the person did it. Person can use some of those things to make the case that so and so did the murder. Body to convict someone. Similarly, by actually presenting God as He is on the throne or whatever exists, you don't need to do that. You can present the clues around of this being, this entity. Listen, that's how courts work. Science works. The Big Bang Theory, cosmic inflation. Everything was the size of an atom. Bam, it just exploded and it started to take form. It cooled down, and here we are. I cannot go to a cosmologist and say, you say, well, what's the video? Show it to me. I want to see it. I want to see the atom when it exploded or expanded, whatever, and formed the universe. I want to see it. The cosmologist will look at you like you're crazy. Because there's a need to present bang on you to believe it. We have the evidence. the mathematics behind it. We have the fact that the universe is expanding. It's expanding like a balloon. Obviously, because it came from the up, it's starting from that point and it's going the opposite direction. Common sense tells you right there that the universe started at a point in all directions. You don't need to say, okay, in order for me to believe in the Big Bang, I have to see a videotape of it. See a video of it on YouTube. It's ridiculous nonsense. Again, scientists use the clues to the conclusion, to the theory that place everything was an atom, and exploded, started to expand, and it started cooling. We have helium, we have hydrogen. Then they started to mix and they formed oxygen. Then they formed the helium compressed, and the helium compressed, it formed stars. And nuclear kept them in power. Then eventually it forming iron. It started to spread around the universe. It got caught up in the gravity of other stars and started to collect planets. Lo and behold, we have planet Earth. Now, you had to know that it happened that way. We could tell. Around us, we could tell. So, atheists out there who there is no God and refuse to accept the arguments in favor of God, unless you present equal to or greater than evidence to the contrary, and you really don't have a case, I'm sorry to say. This is why atheists can never win in the because the whole position of atheism. This is why Carl Sagan said that atheism is stupid. Say atheism is stupid, and why I wrote the book, because it doesn't have a basis. It's just a conclusion based on ignorance. That's what it is. Well, I was hoping, for whatever reason, they did not contact me to hopefully the next time get an atheist or two on board and we could have a discussion and discuss all this. I want people to hear both sides. Just me talking here or not. Both. Obviously, any atheists who have an objection to something I might say in my book, and that gives me the opportunity to answer the question, will hear me and will hopefully learn some things. But as you can see, I defend God in so many ways. Science, philosophy, you name it. I could defend God in so many different ways. So atheists out there who claim there's no evidence for God, I mean, you just do not understand how evidence works. You do not understand how science works, research works, how reasoning works, and logic works. If you believe that making the claim that God does not exist or God is a myth to disqualify God, that's not how it works. And dismissing somebody else's arguments without making your own strong argument that really refutes your opponent's argument, either. I mean, that's just dismissing it. Just means dismissing it, but it doesn't mean that the other person's opinion or argument is invalid. So if you're an atheist out there, you want to disprove. The only way you can do that is by presenting equal to or greater than that refutes your opponents. If you cannot do that, say no, it's wrong. You know what you're talking about. If that's what you could say, then you lost actually, because all you could do is which is just say the contrary. and out of reason. So you're just going to contradict what the person says to you. How you win arguments. So if you're an atheist, listen to me. You got to work on that. Atheism is. I know there's a lot of news that atheism is growing or not. And it's not that atheism is growing, because if you look at the polls, it's that religious, that's what's going on. Religious doesn't. They're just not going to church. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that they stop believing it. People may just pray at home. Maybe they're so busy they don't have time to go to church. Everybody's working 2 or 3 jobs. And things are so expensive. Either they're just lazy, they don't want to go to church. Or maybe they disagree with a certain doctrine in church. Or maybe somebody in the church upset them and they don't want to go back. Or stop believing in God. In the institution of the religion. So non-religious or irreligious doesn't mean atheism. And in reality, polls show that atheism is actually throughout, well, not lying around the world. This was the year 2, atheism will nearly be gone. And Islam is pretty much going to come in based on the trends that we see now. That might change, of course. But it shows so far that be gone by the year 2050. It's just going to disappear. For this, I'll just briefly mention. But the atheism doesn't have an argument. When you go around saying that God does not exist, and you cannot make a strong argument that supports that, believe you. Nobody's going to believe you. So that's why it makes atheism harder to face and convince people. Also, the fact that to believe in God, we all have the VMAT2 gene that believe in God. Decision. That's something that we're born with. It's something that we acquire. It's a choice that we make in life to not believe atheism is. Nobody's conceived an atheist. We are all conceived God to believe in the supernatural. All of us. Time during life, some of us become atheists or agnostics. We don't know what to believe. The default position is actually believing in God. And then when you think about what I told you before about reality and how humanity, that even puts another the way of thinking of atheists and whatnot. I want to thank you for listening. I think I talked. Obviously, you could see I could talk a lot. So God forbid you catch me so much me to death, because there's so much to talk about. And that's if you don't get me talking on the Yankees or sports or something. That's even worse. But there's so much to talk about. Again, I was hoping atheists would come on and talk with me, Christians or Muslims or whoever points of view. These broadcasts, you're saying you're wrong and shout at you, you're wrong, or you're a heathen. That's not what this is about. It's a forum for people to talk on, to make commentary, ask for clarification. And that's what Pope Francis has called all Catholics to do, especially in this year of mercy, is to pretty much shut them out for a while and open them to people. Stop condemning other people. Stop. We do not believe in abortion. We don't support abortion. For so gender theory and people using men dressed up as women using the women's bathroom and vice versa. Obviously, the church does not support. we also cannot be judging people and attacking them and making them feel less special than they are and ignore them. This is up in the air, and everybody else. Believe me, everybody else to be evil and sinful, and we got it all right. No, that's not what being a Catholic is about. And Pope Francis is reminding all of us about that we have to listen first. We have to listen. And you read the gospel, Jesus sat around and he listened to people. People said, he wasn't going teaching people to or scolding people. He would sit down on a rock or something and listen to people. Ask them questions. Some of them would try to trip him up with questions, the Pharisees, of course. And some of them just wanted to be healed, or they wanted something gone from their lives that was giving them trouble. Pope Francis is reminding Catholics that we have to do the same thing. Shut them out for a while sometimes and open up the ears. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth more than speak. That's why I decided to do this Atheist Open Mic. Instead of having people come and listening to and read my books and all that, I mean, actually come here and talk, and I'll just be quiet and listen to what you have to say. We'll go from there. That's all. Atheists out there, anyone who's listening will and come and join me and we talk or whatnot. And so, if you're listening, again, my book is on sale. Atheism is Silly for Children is also on sale. The Atheism is Stupid is discounted. Listen to the beginning of this broadcast for the code at 11:59 Eastern. You get the book. Instead of getting the book for $18.99, you get $6 off, and so I mean, we all like cheap stuff. I can free as much as I want to. I wish I could put the book, my blog. Well, it's not gonna fit on the post. It's gonna on your blog post, but I cannot give. The reason why is because, one, I'm not a publisher. I don't publish things. I don't have a company to publish, so there's space for that. To another, whoever orders a book, they print it out and send it to you. I have to do, and also I need to raise funds. And what I mean by this is the pay for the Sacerdotus.com, which is so popular. So every now for 2 years, so I don't have to worry about it for 2 years. But eventually, those 2 years come quickly, and I have to be another country to keep the name or not. Obviously, GoDaddy will not give it for free, and also my Blog Talk Radio station. I would love to expand that to more hours so that I'm able to talk more, get show to me live. Unfortunately, this platform here, Google Hangout, will allow so that I could actually take phone calls with people on here. Like, and we'll talk in here like a group call type thing. But and I cannot do that. I will do that on the Blog Talk Radio format. But I don't see a subscription so that I have time to not only speak on, take questions. Be kind and generous to help out, and you could donate at GoFundMe.com/ or the PayPal button on my .com. Just click the donation. You see it on the left, I think, and just donate any amount you want. So even if I have 10 things, I'll figure out how to stretch down. Thank God I pay attention to my math teachers. But seriously, the books, could try to raise some funds around annoying for money. You just buy something, you get something, and funds, and save it up in order to expand this work and reach even more people. So Please be kind and generous and help me out with that. Continue this work. And again, this is a service for all peoples. It's not just everybody. Until the next time, God bless and